So welcome to the Florida Center for Inclusive Communities Employment Webinar. This is our 2022 through 2023 webinar series. And I'm Denise Barnes, and I am the FCIC Employment Coordinator and also a consultant for the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities at USF. Today, we present Assistive Technology at Work, Tools for Independence. Your speaker is Emily Wilson. She earned her bachelor's degree in Communication Sciences and Disorders from the University of South Florida in Tampa. And for the last 9 years, she's been employed at the FAAST Central Regional Demonstration Center and has achieved the RESNA's Assistive Technology Professional ATP certification. Her role with FAAST involves exploring assistive technology solutions aimed to improve independence in a variety of environments, such as school, work, home, and the community. And you should leave this APD certified webinar with tips on how to obtain and provide AT to your employees and how job seekers can access FAAST. For job placement personnel, you will learn strategies to support your customers to be successful in the workplace. And now you can take it away, Miss Emily.
Thank you very much. Okay, so you should all be able to see my PowerPoint. Please, Denise, let me know if that's not the case. Okay, so like Denise said, thank you for that introduction. My name is Emily Wilson, and I'm the Assistive Technology Coordinator for the FAAST Central Regional Demonstration Center housed within Tampa General Hospital. And I'm also ATP certified. So anything assistive technology related, I'm your girl. Okay, so FAAST is the state of Florida's assistive technology program, and every state has an AT program. And in Florida, they've divided it out into 12 different regions. So in the central region right here, where we are located in Tampa, we serve Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Manatee counties. And if anyone else is located in a different area, then it's kind of split up in this way. And FAAST, if you go to that website, it will be able to point you to that region's demonstration center. But for our purposes, I'm right here in the middle in the central region in Tampa. And I also wanted to include this in case anyone is from a different state, or if you ever plan on moving to a different state. Like I said, every single state and territory has a Tech Act or assistive technology program. And if you go to this AT3 Center website, you're able to search by state, and then it'll populate whatever that state's program is, and you can reach them. So just in case anyone's outside of Florida, or if you ever move outside of Florida, that's the way how you identify whatever the Tech Act program is for that area. All right, and I've used the term assistive technology. So what does that mean? Basically, you have a fancy definition up here, but we're talking about individuals, whether you have a disability or whether you're even a senior, kind of aging in place and dealing with some functional limitations due to age. And some tasks of daily life, like managing medication or accessing your phone or your tablet, writing things down, hearing, vision, communicating, whatever the task is, if a person is having a difficult time achieving that task independently, then assistive technology can be explored and can help bridge that gap to independence. So when we think about assistive technology, we're thinking about the devices, the tools, the settings to help people function independently, whether it's at home, at school, at work. Obviously, this is employment related, so we're talking about maybe even transitioning from school to work or in that workplace setting. What are some tools available that can help people live independently or work independently? And I also like to throw this slide in here too, which describes all the different categories of assistive technology. So we have to think about the person as a whole. Of course, if you're working with someone and it's all computer access, but they also mention, things at home or things moving around, mobility related, then there's AT for all areas of a person's life. And this just kind of outlines some of the ones where we have equipment and some of the different ideas from a person's life. Okay, so here at the FAAST Regional Center in Tampa and all throughout Florida, and actually nationwide, all of the Tech Act programs, we have 4 main core services. So our bread and butter is really going to be device demonstrations. And if you've ever visited our center, we have a lot, thousands of devices, apps for people to explore. So for someone to come in and say, I'm having a difficult time reading or seeing, the computer or whatever task it is, they are able to sit down and be hands-on and trial multiple pieces of equipment, settings, devices, whatever. And we help guide them through that process. So let's try this device. Well, let's tweak this setting. Let's try this device over here. And they're able to be hands-on and learn about equipment, learn that things even exist that maybe they had no idea, and have those hands-on trials. So we do device demonstrations. We also loan our equipment as well. So if someone, we demonstrate something in the center that works well, the person can borrow that actual device to try in that environment, whether it's at home or at work, at school, to see if it's really going to make a difference and be a solution. So we demonstrate devices, we loan devices. We also train on how to use those devices. So on a one-to-one kind of more personal level training, making sure the person knows exactly how to use that device and all the functions, all the capabilities, making sure they're set up for success before they take it home with them or take it to work with them. And a good rule of thumb for me is I'll have people demonstrate something back to me before they leave with the device. That way I know for sure they know how to use it. And also trainings like this. So spreading the word, FAAST is around, Tech Act programs are around to really provide access to assistive technology devices and services. And last but not least, we have this information and assistance piece. So if someone identifies a product and they think it's going to work perfectly, then we will let them know where it's available for purchase or which vendors sell that piece of equipment. And that's on the device side, but we also share resources as well. So making sure people are just connected with the appropriate community resources so they're set up for success. At the headquarter level, they also have a couple different programs. They have their own statewide inventory program. So like I said, we serve Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Manatee County. Well, if you're coming from Manatee County, it's quite a commute to Tampa General. And if you're unable, whether you're a professional or an individual, if you're unable to come into the center, then FAAST has their own library of equipment listed on the website where you can request a device and they will ship it directly to you with a return paid label, all of that. Everything's a free service and you're able to try that device. Now, each center kind of has their own inventory of equipment, and our center here, in the central region, we've been here for almost 30 years. So we've accumulated a lot of technology, whereas up at the headquarter level, their inventory might be a little bit different. But again, we can make suggestions and guide you along, making sure that you have an appropriate trial of equipment. So you can borrow from them. There's also a financial loan program, just to quickly highlight. So if someone's having to pay for a piece of technology or a service out of pocket, FAAST acts as their own bank and they can cover the cost and that person can make monthly payments back to them. That way it's not just a large, charge up front for a device that your standard bank might not cover. So they have device and funding options up at the headquarter level for our program. Okay, I also think it's important to throw out there that our approach typically when someone comes into the center is to start simple. Let's start with no tech. What is already built into that person's device? What do they already have their hands on, where we can actually explore different settings, different ways of setting that up to make sure that we have all of the built-in settings covered before we introduce any kind of new technology. So we're always starting simple, what's already there. Then we'll go to low tech and then high tech, because so many times people want to jump to those complicated, involved, high tech solutions, when in fact, they might just need a simple tweak of a setting and a stylus incorporation, or, just a more simple approach, a more simple solution. So our approach, and that goes for device abandonment as well. You don't want to introduce something that's way too techy for someone who might not be comfortable with that, and they're not going to use it. VR spending money, an employment agency spending money on something, you want to make sure that it's going to work appropriately for them and it's not going to be abandoned. So on a consultation level, when someone comes into the center, we're starting simple. So I think that's a good approach overall. Okay, I've also pulled some equipment that I'll flip to a live camera over here, but these are the 4 main categories that I'm going to cover and show you just a few examples of some of the devices we have in the center. So we'll start with computer access, and we'll look at some of the built-in settings within Windows, and then look at a couple input options. Then we're going to move into reading and talk about some of the OCR scanner pens and an app example of, reading text out loud. Organization, we're going to talk about sequencing and keeping things in like tasks in sequence, and also reminder systems and organization systems that are some app examples that I'll show. And finally, daily living, because I think this is also a whole part of employment. If someone's not able to wake up, every single morning on time, if they're not taking their medication, if they're not doing things at home in their daily living lives, that's going to influence their work performance, and that's not going to set them up for success. So I also included some daily living devices just to show quick vision, hearing, and medication management systems. Okay. So let me switch over to my live camera. Here we go. So we are here in the office in my center. And actually, I'm going to start not with the live camera. I'm going to start with some built-in settings. Actually, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So you're looking at the built-in Windows settings on my computer. And right now, we're running Windows 10. However, obviously Windows 11 is out. Things look a little bit different, but overall, and the examples I'm going to show today in the Ease of Access Center are going to be similar to Windows 11. Some things are named just a little bit differently. But as always, if you have a question about something, you can always follow with me at the end or throw it in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer that. So starting with some vision options, and they've organized it pretty well over here in the toolbar. But just the first one, talking about text size. Sometimes it's just a simple, drag of this bar here, and you can see the text size is changing in real time. So that just gives you an easy way to be able to see, exactly what the text size is going to be. And of course, if you have larger text, for some people, it's much easier to see. So adjusting text size. You can also make everything bigger. So right now I have it 125%, but I can bump it up, close to 200%, and text, icons, toolbars, everything will get larger on the screen. So that's another vision option. If you can't see it, you make it really big until it gets to the point where it's either not functional or you have to introduce some kind of screen reading software. But these are just some quick, adjustments someone can make right here in the control panel, or not the control panel, in the Windows settings. So text size, icon size. You can also adjust under cursor and pointer. You can adjust the pointer size. So I can drag this up, and then you can see, the pointer can get fairly large. You can also change the color of it if it's easier to track for someone on the screen. And then it'll be like this universally as you move through your computer. So you know it's always going to be that size. So pointer size, there's also some color filters, some things under there, under the vision section that you can explore. So just a lot of people already know about these, but it's good to have a refresher. And if you didn't know, well, now you know. So then under interaction, there's a few options for more of the physical disabilities that I've seen. So number one, we're going to go to keyboard. Under keyboard, you have, I'm going to jump down to sticky keys. And this is a really great setting for people when it comes to having to type multiple keys at once. So if hitting Control Alt Delete all at the same time, simultaneously, if that's difficult for someone, or even your like Control Copy, Control Paste, Control Cut, multiple keys at the same time, what you can do is you can activate this sticky keys feature, and you just have to press the keys sequentially instead of simultaneously. So maybe if I have pain in my hands or my fingers don't quite stretch that far, I can't hit all those keys at the same time. All I have to do is I can hit the Control key, release, Alt key, delete, release, delete key, release. So Control Alt Delete, and it will do that function. And it's called sticky keys because it's going to be sticky and hold them down, abstractly. It's going to hold and be sticky on the keys. So that's just a quick little feature for someone to make it a little bit easier to type multiple keys at the same time. You also have toggle keys under here. So whenever you press like the caps lock or scroll lock, some of those control keys, if you do it mistakenly, that can mess up a whole entire document. So if you press one of those buttons and toggle keys is on, it will play a sound or auditory cue to make you know, oh, did I press something I'm not supposed to press? So just to keep you on track, a little sound cue. Also under here, you have filter keys, which can be really great. I've worked with a lot of people who either have tremors due to essential tremor, Parkinson's, post-stroke, things like that. If their hands are shaking, then typing, one letter can turn into B, 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 multiple letters in a row. So using the filter keys, you're able to kind of filter out those multiple keystrokes. Or on the other end, you have, here we go. So bounce keys, slow keys, repeat keys. So some of these features under here. Slow keys means maybe someone doesn't have a lot of control as they're typing. So you can set a certain amount of time before that keystroke is accepted. So I have to press and hold B for 0.75 seconds before the computer will type it as a key. So for people who might be hitting keys all over the place, not really intending to, slow keys makes it an intentional keystroke. So again, all of these are built in right there in the control panel and the settings to help people, type a little bit easier maybe. Last but not least, under keyboard, you have the on-screen keyboard. So when you activate this is Microsoft's built-in keyboard. You can adjust the size. Where'd it go up here? Oh, I can't get it. So there you go. So you can adjust the size of it. You can make it large, small, depending on whatever target area that you need. I've worked with people, maybe keyboarding on a standard keyboard isn't that easy for them. So they'll pull up this on-screen keyboard, and if they have a trackball or if they're comfortable using a mouse, whether it's a standard input, trackball, ergonomic mouse, head control mouse, things like that, having this on-screen keyboard can make it a little bit easier to type. And also, you can't see it right now, but once I started typing, there's word prediction built in up here. So that eliminates the need to have to type out full words, full phrases, because it's predicting it for you. So that's something that's already built in, good to explore with people. All right, so now we're going to move on to speech. So I wanted to highlight this. A lot of people already know, the term Dragon Naturally Speaking or Windows speech recognition feature. So what that means is I can use my voice to dictate commands and text on the screen. So if this was turned on, I could say, show desktop, open email, tab down to title. Hello, Denise, thank you for inviting me to present, exclamation point. And it would dictate everything that I'm saying, but also, you can control windows and, other features of your computer. So a lot of people, before you want to spend the money on Dragon, I say, this is free. It's already built in. Why don't you come in here, try this for a week, see if you actually like voice dictation, because it can be very taxing on your vocal cords, having to talk all day. Are you in an office by yourself where you're able to talk all day and you won't be a distraction to people? Are you cognitively aware of all the different commands that you have to have memorized? Maximize, minimize, control, there's a lot of commands to use. So it takes a lot. It's very involved, but if someone finds this as a solution, then it's out there. And why not try it for free first before you go spend the money and buy Dragon, naturally speaking. So this speech recognition is good. I also find that having an external microphone works better as far as accuracy. So most computers have a built-in internal microphone, but like I said, if you're in an environment and it's pretty noisy, sometimes the accuracy won't be that great. And if you have an external microphone where that directional, mic is really picking up your voice, then that can make things a little less frustrating and less errors to correct. That being said, I also find that people use the voice dictation in combination with input devices. So they might use, their mouse to navigate to email, open up an email, get into the, text box, and then they'll activate the voice commands or speech recognition to then just type out their whole email using just their voice. And if any corrections are made, you can use that with the mouse and keyboard. So having like a combination approach seems to work pretty well for people. However, it is set up, if you wanted to do it all with your voice, you are able to do that. And like I mentioned earlier, this is Windows 10, so it's called speech recognition. In Windows 11, I believe they renamed it to be voice access for both dictation and commands, or they have an option for voice typing, which is just dictation. So you have a couple, different options with Windows 11, but they're both doing the same thing. You're using a microphone, just, you speak into a microphone, the computer's reacting to that. So it's controlling it with your voice. Okay, so that's that. Now I want to talk about some neurodiversity, maybe some learning options for people. So I opened up, this is just a Word document, and I want to show some of the built-in features here within Word. So first I want to show under the Home tabs, so already here, there's a dictate button. So going off of the Windows speech recognition, Microsoft Word and the Word suite or the Microsoft suite, they also have a built-in microphone, sorry, forgot what this was called, a built-in microphone. So if it was activated in the text, I could just speak something and it would transcribe it right here within the document. So that's Word, that's Outlook, all your different Microsoft options. So built-in there. You also have, which is hidden underneath this bar up here. Let's do this. So you also have under the review tab, you have a read aloud feature. So what that does is if I place the cursor here, all right, come back over here, and I press read aloud, that will activate the
FAAST
feature.
Central Regional Demonstration Center. Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology.
So you have this little control bar that comes up over here and it will read everything on the document. So if you're a person maybe spelling, reading, if that's difficult to you because of a learning disability or some kind of cognitive issue, then that's a built-in feature right here. It will read the whole entire thing to you. And as you saw, it highlighted as it read. So you can really stay on track with that. So there's read aloud. Under the view tab, there's also what's called focus. So when I activate that, it's going to black out everything on either side of the document and just show me the text of the document. So if you're working with someone and maybe they get distracted by all those controls and things up at the top, this is a good way to kind of focus in on what you're working on. So that little focus feature can be helpful with that. Last but not least, you have immersive reader. So what this does is you have all these different options built into one. And again, this is a Microsoft feature. So we're talking about Word, even Microsoft Edge. It's a built-in feature in that if doing like internet exploring as part of someone's job, and you can kind of customize it to whatever the person processes the easiest, you can customize it within those multiple platforms. So I can adjust, the column width to kind of just bring everything towards the center. I can change the page color if maybe having a different color background helps me focus a little bit better and retrieve that information from the screen, then that's a quick feature. I can also activate this line focus. So that brings it even closer in, I'm focused on this line here. If I want to space the text out, if I want to see it by, syllable, if I want it read out loud.
Core services.
Right. So there's a lot of customization where you can set it up for the person, to be able to retrieve this information the most effectively. So that's immersive reader built into Microsoft Word, was that example. Okay. Close you. Now we're back to the live camera, back where I was going to start with. But I told you, we always start with built-in settings. We're starting simple. So all of those things are already built into the device. Now we're going to look at a couple different input options. So this first one is called an ergo rest or ergonomic rest, and it just attaches right to a table or to a desk. And what this does is I'm able to place my forearm in here and it's articulating. So it moves around with me. So maybe I experience pain in my shoulder, my arm, whatever, and I need something to just support my forearm and put me in that 90-degree ergonomic kind of position. So this is just a quick something that you can attach to the desk and adjust by height to make it best for that person. So ergo rest, that's something to consider to try when you're working with someone. Now, also I have some input options. I just want to place this over here. Okay, so a couple different mouse options first. This would be an example of an ergonomic mouse. So I can just place my hand naturally. My wrist is in that more neutral position versus flat like this when you're using a standard mouse. This one kind of puts it more in a neutral position, and I'm able to just move around, and the keys are very easy, or the keys, I guess they're keys. The buttons up at the top are easy to press for left and right click. So with something like this, I'm ergonomic, I'm set up. Maybe someone who has carpal tunnel or pain, maybe they just have a weak grip. They can just place their hand right here and be able to use a mouse. Because it's wireless, that means that I can position it down on a keyboard tray, or if I need it up over to the right, whatever is the best ergonomic position for that person, then having a wireless mouse kind of gives you that flexibility for mobility and for positioning. So that's an example of an ergonomic mouse. Just an example. There's lots of options. We have a lot of options, but I just want to kind of give you the highlights today. This is a trackball, again, wireless, so it can connect through USB or Bluetooth. So we're talking about the same features, benefits of being, positioned in a way that's best for that person. It also has this wrist support, so I can just rest my wrist right here and just move my hand around just a little bit, and that's going to adjust, or that's going to move the pointer around. So trackball, you also have different kinds of buttons that you can customize. So if I wanted, left and right click, they're more accessible to me down here. So maybe I adjust that because, clicking, my thumb falls right here. So it's a little bit easier. But I can program these buttons to do whatever action I want. whether that's opening up a whole application or double clicking, scrolling, whatever feature I want, then it's customizable. So it's kind of, standard trackball, but with some bells and whistles too. So that could be an option for someone to explore. And the fact that it's Bluetooth means you can connect it to laptops, computers, tablets, phones, even the ones that like iPhones and things that have that cursor control support now, and be able to manipulate your tablets and mobile devices with, a mouse. So that could be an option. Last but not least, for computers, I wanted to show this Bluetooth keyboard. So obviously, when someone looks at this, you immediately notice two things. Number one, the keys are much larger, right? So they're larger keys, bold, easier to see, but also you have the yellow background on the keys. And that also goes more for vision. So people find it much easier to see keys like this, which makes it much easier for them to type. So this could be something to explore. And it's pretty small and compact. So if you're someone, maybe you've had a stroke, or maybe you're just using one hand to type, to use the computer, by having a smaller, more compact keyboard, you can just kind of place your hand right in the middle and have access to the keys with limited moving around. Instead of having, your standard size keyboard where I'm gonna have to be moving left to right, up, down, where my mouse is way over here because there's this whole other side to the keyboard. Having a smaller one and more compact, that's a lot of benefit to that. Also, the same point of it being wireless. So it's a Bluetooth keyboard, which means I can connect this to phones, tablets, all mobile devices, laptops, PCs, whatever. And I have this one device that can connect with multiple platforms. So I don't have to have a separate device for each of those other, devices. I don't have to have a separate keyboard for every single device that I have. It will pair with all of them. So that's a good concept to know about as well. Okay, now we're going to move on to reading. So a lot of people already know about the C-Pen and the OrCam read. So I'm just going to do a quick demonstration. So basically, these two devices are handheld devices that are OCR, or optical character recognition, which means I'm going to scan it, through here, or take a full, picture of it with this, and it's going to read text out loud. So I would hold it just like a regular pen, and I have printed text here, just our brochure. I press it down and I scan the first line. So it pulled that text from, the underneath, and it displayed it on the screen, read it out loud, and highlighted as it went. So I'm able to scan line by line and listen to the text being read. Or if it's just a word, I don't know what that is, I can scan that word, hear it, get the definition of it. So it's really beneficial for people with learning disabilities or people with print disabilities where reading, is kind of difficult for them. So this could be an option. OrCam, so similar concept, and for sake of time, basically you're using this, you're shining a laser pointer down on the screen to capture bigger blocks of text, and then it reads it out loud for you. So similar concept, but being a demonstration center, we have to have multiple options for people to try. All right. So the last one I wanted to show is an app called Seeing AI. And this is a free app, and you have multiple options: currency, people identifier, barcode scanner, color reader, document scanner. So it has a lot of options already built into the app. And the fact that it's free, it's a Microsoft app called Seeing AI. I think it's beneficial for people to try. I have the short text feature activated right now. So if I'm at a store, if I'm having to read a business card or a brochure, I can just place it right in front. www.fast.org. And then it will pull the text right there. And it keeps going. So that, can pick up text, you can scan full documents. Since it's free, if someone wants to try some kind of app that's on your device already, I think that's worth trying. And it has a lot built into it. So the C-Pen, you have the OrCam Read, you have Seeing AI, all of those can be used for people who need help with reading. That's that reading category. Now I want to go to organization. So I want to start with the task book and the step pad. And these are both beneficial for people who need help staying on task or keeping things sequenced when they're completing a task, whether it's at work or at home. So something low tech like the task book, you can have multiple tasks written out. But I know before I go to work, what do I need to do? I need to eat breakfast. I need to brush my teeth. I need to wash my face. And it lists all the things that I have to do in order that I need to do it. And it has the text, but also picture support. It's portable. I can just take this with me. Maybe I have, a job task on the first page. Clocking in could be on the second page. So if someone needs that level of support with completing tasks, whether, they have autism or maybe just they're distractible, maybe, there's a learning disability, something like that, something simple like a task book can be introduced to keep people on track, to keep them on task. So that's an option. There's also the step pad, which is doing the same thing, but there's no pictures or text. It's all auditory cues. So getting ready, what's my first task?
Eat breakfast.
Then
Brush your teeth.
So you're just hitting this button.
Wash your face.
And it's reading out all of the steps. If I need to go back.
Brush your teeth.
Or if I need to repeat.
Brush your teeth.
So it's kind of, an all-in-one device for those auditory cues for sequencing or completing tasks. And I believe you can have up to 8, there's 2 levels, so 8 different tasks on this one device. So depending on if the person prefers pictures and text versus auditory, that's something to explore. All right, now I want to show a couple of apps. So move this way. So the first one is just the built-in iPad reminders. And this is really important. Apple has done a great job with their accessibility and their built-in features. So the iOS reminders is an app that should already be there on a person's Apple device. And this is where you can set a reminder, assign a time to it or a location for whenever I get to that space, it's going to remind me. All different features, and they've really allowed you to customize it. So you can do my home reminders, my work reminders. You can add pictures if you need that kind of support. So, at work, I need to make sure and sanitize. Oh, where do I need to sanitize? Oh, the bathroom. That's right. This bathroom. I'm cued to go to that specific bathroom. Or, at 8 o'clock, I'll get a reminder, I need to clock in. Oh, where do I need to go? The front office. I can add notes too. So it's really customizable. And I think people should definitely explore this before jumping into any other kind of external third-party apps for reminder systems. I like to show this one. Also, Google Keep is a good job too. And I know I highlighted Apple, so I have to highlight Google and Android as well. And Google Keep is awesome because it works on multiple platforms. So I can keep bulleted lists, have different color coding. So I know, blue is for work, maybe purple is for school, blue is for home. And I can keep things organized and import documents, pictures, take quick notes with my pens. So it's an all-in-one kind of organization hub. And if I have a Google Keep app on an iPad, it shows up. If I sign on to Google Keep on my computer, it's the same exact thing. On my Android, if I have the Keep app, guess what? It's the same thing. So whenever you update it on one, it gets updated across all the other platforms. So if you're at work and you need to log in just to make sure you have this documented, and maybe you don't have your phone on you, then you're able to do that directly from a computer. So I think that's an important one to consider as well. Okay, now that was all organization. And now I want to show some daily living options as well. Where do I start? Let me bring this back over here. I'm going to show a couple of built-in vision options on here. I know we looked at some of the same ones on the computer, but mobile devices also have a lot of built-in accessibility. So I'm in the settings on the device under accessibility, and I would suggest if you guys have never explored just all of the different features built into the accessibility menu, take some time and do that, because there's so much built in, specifically to iOS devices, Apple devices, but Android also has, a decent amount of accessibility. So under the first section is vision. So display and text size, I can make it bolder, I can enhance the button shapes, but I really want to show the larger accessibility sizes. So it only goes up to a certain point. Whenever you enable the larger accessibility sizes, it can get pretty large. And this would be for someone who has difficulty seeing what's on the screen. So I'm able to just slide the bar. It changes right then and there. So you can adjust it to whatever works best for you. You also have some inverting options that you can do. So sometimes people having like a darker background with bolder, light text, that works much better for them, and they're able to see it more efficiently, effectively. And that's global. So it's going to work on, the whole entire iPad. All right. So that's that. Last but not least, for the iPad, I want to show the built-in magnifier. So instead of having to go out and buy this separate, handheld portable digital magnifier for hundreds of dollars, sometimes having a solution that's right there already built into the device can do just as well. So for example, if I had this brochure back here, if I can position it correctly, here we go. This magnifier, I can adjust, and it gets pretty magnified. That's almost all the way magnified. Then I'm able to either move the device around or move the object around. And if I need to maybe change the color contrast, that's already built in right there into this device. So don't overlook the built-in iOS magnifier, because it does a really great job. And the fact that it's already there in the device, which means the person won't have to introduce or remember to bring a second device to their own, cell phone or tablet that they're using, that can be really beneficial to people. So, all right, now I'm done with the iPad. So finally, we did vision for daily living. Now I want to do a couple hearing related things and then a few medication related things as well. So a couple options here. This Hear All device is really great. It's a Bluetooth amplifier. So if a person has hearing loss and they're out on the job or they're in the office, and maybe their cell phone does not get amplified enough for them to be able to hear. So this would be someone maybe without hearing aids, because nowadays hearing aids can pair directly with the phones. But if you're someone with hearing loss, but you're not quite, maybe you don't have hearing aids, you can't afford them, whatever the case may be, you can pair this device with your cell phone. When your phone rings, you answer it directly from here, and the sound is amplified through this device that you can hold up to your ear, or you can use it as a speakerphone. But it's just an option for people with hearing loss, and it pairs directly with your cell phone. So you don't have to get a landline or anything like that. It just piggybacks right on there. So that's a cool one for someone to try. Also, we had talked about waking up in the morning if that's difficult for someone. This cradle here, it just sits on the nightstand, and you put your cell phone, you stand it up right there. So whenever your phone alarms and it vibrates because the alarm is going off in the morning, this whole thing will start flashing to alert the person that I have something going on my phone. but you can also attach a bed shaker to it. So if you put this underneath the person's pillow or, in between the mattress, when this activates, this bed shaker will start shaking, alerting the person that the alarm is going off. So this is really like a low tech kind of solution for people who may not want to buy the full, 80 decibel alarm clock with bed shaker. Maybe they just want to use the alarms on their phone, but they just need a little extra support, a little extra initiative, to shake them awake, to get them up in the morning, to get them to work. So this is at home, but this is going to get them set up for success, get them to work on time. So that could be an option for people. Then finally, I have a few different medication systems that we can all explore here. This first one is called the Talking RX. So if I'm a person and due to vision, I can't see what this says, due to a print disability, maybe I don't know, I can't read what that says, but I know I'm supposed to take something. What I can do is press this button.
Metformin, 500 milligrams.
And I can actually hear what's in this prescription bottle. So the Talking RX, you can only record one voice message. So if you had multiple prescription bottles, there are other solutions for that, like the Script Talk maybe. But for the Talking RX, if you need to say, hey, this is the red pill that I need to take, with milk, or, whatever customized message you need, then you could record it here and be assured that you're taking the right amount at the right time and nothing crazy is going to happen. So Talking RX could be a solution. The Timex is just a simple portable option. So for someone who doesn't need maybe a whole lot of medication management systems, you have alarms that are built into here, but then you can also store the pills directly in these containers as well. So maybe I need, a few alarms to go off throughout the day, and I need a place to store them, but I need it in a container that I can put in my purse or put in my bag and not have, a whole entire medication management system, just something for the day. So something like this could be explored. Maybe you do need a little extra support, and something like the MedQ, when the alarm goes off, the box will actually flash and tell the person this is the one you're supposed to be taking. So built-in alarms, built-in storage, but also that visual support as well. So something like that's available. Finally, last but not least, you have something with a little more support. So the MedAlert system, with this one, I can fill up this entire tray underneath, depending on however many times a day that I need to take the pills. When the alarm goes off, the tray underneath will turn to the correct space. And then all I need to do is flip it over and the correct pill will come out. So this is for someone who needs a little extra level of support. And, it's not portable, but if someone needed to take it with them, it's not the worst thing in the world. But it has a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of the features for someone who needs extra support managing their medication. Okay. Now, let's see. Let me go back here. So now questions, and also I wanted to put my contact information up here in case anyone, has any questions you don't want to ask today, or maybe you have a follow-up question, or you just need help finding your own regional center, whatever you need, I'm here for you. So here's the email address to use, fastscen@tgh.org, or you can call our office at 813-844-7591. All right, and Denise, I don't know if you are on here, if you want to moderate maybe some of the questions, if anyone asks any.
The first question that has been asked is, does that track medication adherence?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you fully.
Does it track medication adherence?
Oh, no, it does not. No, I know there are some systems that do that. They're pretty pricey, honestly. But if that's one of the restrictions that someone needs, we're happy to send you examples of ones that we know of. But no, the ones that I showed today does not.
Emily wants to know, would you be able to give the name of the task assistance device you showed us after the task book?
Sure, that's called the STEP pad, STEPPAD.
Who is that by?
I was just gonna say, I think Attainment Company sells that one.
And who was the task book by?
I think it's the same. I think Attainment Company sells the bones of it, but then you can like customize. Yeah, Attainment Company, it sells both of them. It's written on both of them. They're a great company. They have a lot of AT options.
If anyone else has any other questions, you can either raise your hand to unmute and ask yourself, or you can type it into the chat. Now, the equipment that you have at the FAAST Center, is it free or is it low cost?
So it's a variety for sure. It's free to come in and see us. It's free for demonstrations. It's free for loans. But once, someone identifies a device that works well for them, we'll let them know where it's available. Most of the daily living things you can get off Amazon, and it's just a variety of prices. When you start talking about like high-tech communication systems, the price tag is going up. But most of the things, I want to say computer things and the ADLs, those I think we got off Amazon, medication stuff, all things through Amazon. That's the world these days, right? Just add it to the cart.
And you mentioned that the Microsoft Seeing AI was free.
Yes.
Is that a software or is that an actual device?
That's actually an app that you can download, and I believe
Okay.
it's only available through Apple. So you would just go to the App Store and search Seeing AI, and it should be the first one.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, anyone? Well, thank you, Emily, for sharing with us the assistive technologies that people can use at home as well as at work. You've talked about softwares, you talked about supports, input options, output options, reading tools, organization tools, and AI tools, and then also organization or executive function tools. So I appreciate your assistance with that. We do have someone says that this is great. They truly thank you for putting on this presentation today. So
My
thank
pleasure.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Please visit our website for more information about our programs, projects, and how you can get involved.